Hello, Steve Mills here. It's great to be here and to be sharing on my podcast and on YouTube some more tried, tested and proven ways to grow your business. Today I'm here with a gentleman that I've only just met. His name is Joel van der Molen, which is a great name. I love that name. A little bit more interesting than Steve Mills, but I'll ask him about the name and where it comes from in a few minutes. But Joel and I have only just met. We met via an email that he sent me. He sent me an email saying, would you be interested in taking your story and turning it into a documentary, a video production type of thing. And I thought, wow, yeah, I really love that idea. I love the idea of stories and telling stories and using that in my marketing and getting people to, I've always believed very powerfully in getting people to know, like and trust me. If people know, like and trust someone because they've heard their story and they've listened to them on video and they've got an understanding of who that person is, where they've come from, what problems they've got over, because let's face it, we all have them, and and where they're going, really importantly. So it's great to have you here, Joel. Thank you for your time, and welcome to the podcast and the video.
Thank you, Steve. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for this opportunity.
That's great. That's my pleasure. So why don't we kick off just by telling everybody a little bit about you and I suppose your story and what you do for a living.
Oh, okay, absolutely. Well, I was born and grew up in the southeast of England, which people are normally shocked by because of the name Van der Molen.
Yeah. Where does that come from?
my great grandfather was born in Amsterdam.
Okay, right, yeah.
So, but that was it. But in the war, they came over. I know that I did a documentary with my father called 80 Years in 80 Minutes.
Okay, wow.
Recalling all the memoirs of his life.
Oh,
so
that's
I
cool.
got to learn about my family history.
Yeah.
Which was a wonderful gift for him. But also, yes, I learned to answer that question when people say, what's the name?
Yeah, what's the name? Yeah.
And so, yes, I grew up there. I attended local schools and then travelled the world. Not quite the world, the other side of the world. I was in Australia for a year.
Okay.
Thinking, what am I going to do? But from a very young age, I always wanted to act. I wanted to create.
Right.
And so I went to I was fortunate to get into one of the top drama schools in London.
Okay.
And stayed there for 3 years.
Uh-huh.
Then I became an out-of-work actor.
Right, okay. Resting. You're resting when you're out of work as an actor, aren't you? Yeah.
I was working in bars and restaurants and looking around at everybody enjoying themselves, going to restaurants and having, money to spend.
Yeah.
And I always thought that, I can do more, I can be more.
Yes.
And then I started to attract different people into my life and noticed these different people coming in. And then I got introduced into the world of telecommunications.
Okay.
And helping businesses to save money and increase productivity through new technologies.
Right.
Introducing them to ways of working that would increase productivity, but also reduce their monthly expenditure.
Okay.
So that was quite an opportunity to help a lot of businesses. And I really very quickly realized that I could make a living out of this. And so that's what I did. I spent the next 10 years building a telecommunications company.
Okay.
With servicing small to medium businesses. And then the big change happened because I do believe that, we always have that calling inside of us. We can feel it. It's an inner knowing. It's an inner intelligence.
Yes.
That is our guardian angel, if you like. It is our higher self, whatever it may be for you. But we know it's there. And some of us may choose not to listen to it. And I think we have been trained not to listen to it. If you look at the school system, how we are programmed to use the academic left brain instead of the creative right brain.
Yeah,
we're not really taught to tune in and really listen to that voice that we all have. And that is the genius every single human being has. It just gets crowded and the noise outside gets louder. And that certainly did for me. And it pushed me off into a different direction, which I took advantage of. I built a telecommunications company. However, that voice wasn't going to go away. And so I either had to listen to it or ignore it. Ignoring it would have meant that, I would never have really been fulfilled.
Yeah.
I would have already been missing out. And I never wanted to look back saying, I wish I had. I want to look back being able to say, I'm glad I did.
Yeah. You and I both. Yeah.
And an entrepreneur is either crazy or, because of the risks involved, or they're not very clever to foresee what's really the work involved in doing something. I tend to dive in and then work out, okay, this is, I dive into an idea and I think, right, this can work. And then I sort of learn and I navigate what's going on as I go. And that's what happened with the telephony business. And then it was going to happen again with the television film production. I started to listening to that voice. I again attracted different people into my awareness that helped move me to the next level. I learned a lot about network marketing and personal and professional development.
Okay.
Now, this was very important. It started to help me access and listen to myself and understand new ways of thinking and being. I then had it was going to be a business coach that I was going to instruct to help me move to the next level into the millions, the tens of millions.
Okay.
But that I learned very quickly that was more about me and removing the blocks within my own thinking. That was stopping any progress from happening, because I wasn't connected to who I truly was. I was living an illusion.
I think sometimes we all, even though we might not admit it, we all have. Well, it's almost that glass ceiling that I think, last night I was watching the TV and there were these sort of houses on. They were showing like many millions of pounds worth of houses. They were like 50, 60, 70 million pounds. And I was looking at them and chatting to my wife and saying, do you know what? I don't think I'd really want that. I wouldn't really want that 60 million. I'd be happy with, if I had a house that was worth like, a couple of million, that'd be where we were. And I think right now that'd be fantastic. I'd love that, but deep down inside, I think we always want to go to. Not everybody, but I like the idea of the journey. From here to there. From the day I am now to the day I pass away. I hope I'm going to be improving and getting better and getting fitter and stronger and learning and growing and, improving financially and my relationships and so on. And that I think's what life's really about. It's not the destination; it's the journey. I think
the journey is the destination. We're here to learn.
Yeah,
and we continue learning. And we do learn that when we get that house or that car, that it's not really what we truly wanted. I've spoken to people who they're short-term highs.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been on holiday, but you were so excited in the enjoyment before leading up to the holiday, but when you get there, it's not really what it was, and it was more fun looking forward to the holiday. And
sorry, go on.
I was going to say, well, what's interesting is that people would spend more time planning their holiday than they would planning their life.
Yeah.
I would certainly be a victim of that until I started unlearning what I was learning and then learn how to put plans in place.
Yeah.
Still not very good at it.
Well,
I'm learning.
We were talking just before we started recording, weren't we, about in school we're not told anything about this. I don't think I'd ever had today's goal setting. At school when that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about personal development or how to structure and set up a business or marketing or selling or all the things that you actually need really to survive and thrive in a world and in a business world. We don't get that as part of our education, and yet for most people their education ended when they either left school or left university. That was it. They've not gone on and carried that forward, and you clearly have, and I know I have.
Yeah, I think the new education is in unlearning.
Yeah.
Unlearning the programmed ideas, beliefs, and values that are ingrained to us since we're born.
Yeah.
Since we arrive on this planet, we then, we are then programmed in a way. The school system is probably 120 years out of date. It may have served a purpose for the industrial age for people to go into that working environment, and that may have been brilliant for then. But how has it changed? What is it doing now? If there was classes on wealth, on how to grow a business, how to develop from within.
Yeah.
And if we look at the word education, it comes from the Latin word induco, meaning to go within.
Okay.
And then I probably, that would have been more valuable and for me. I think a lot of people leave school, and you see a lot of this where people will go into the same profession or the same type of career pattern as their parents.
Yes, very much so. Or I'd say as their surroundings. I came from Sheffield, and I always remember my careers talk. Some of the listeners will know that I've got a background as a table tennis player. I used to play table tennis for England, and my careers talk at school, the careers counsellor said to me, "So, what do you want to do when you leave school?" So I said, "Well, I want to be a professional table tennis player." And he said, "Yeah, but what are you going to do for a living?" And I walked out of the careers meeting with 2 applications for British Steel, which that's basically what everybody did in Sheffield. You either worked for British Steel at the time, or you worked for somebody who supported the local shops and places like that. But Sheffield being the steel city, it was like, I don't know what percentage, but let's say 60-70% of the working population of something like, I don't know, there's about 2 million people live in Sheffield. It's quite a big place, and most of them worked in British Steel at the time, and so it was almost conditioned into me that's what I do. My dad didn't actually work for British Steel, but he was a manual. He was a joiner. He was a carpenter. And I was going to do something similar, and I backed out of that big time. Decided against it, luckily.
But it's this idea of this programming to move in a certain direction, to follow the herd. And if you do step outside of that and do something different, well, then you're not normal. You're considered risky. You're considered a threat to the system, to people's reality.
Yeah, sure.
I have, my parents were entrepreneurs, and they developed various different businesses all throughout. I would see my mum do this. My dad had a very successful, strong business that in financial services.
Right.
But my mum would come up with all these wonderful ideas ahead of her time.
Yeah.
Ahead of her time, and it was very interesting to see. And as soon as something would fail, she would move on, and I really respected her for that. That this constant drive never to give in.
Yes.
Regardless of what problems were thrown her way.
Yeah.
That constant drive to achieve.
Yeah.
I hope I did pick that up.
I think so. I think I did. As I say, my dad wasn't wasn't a business person in any way, but he had an amazing childhood. He in terms of a really tough time. He was literally in hospital from the age of 5 to 13. Would you believe?
Oh, no.
Permanently in a hospital, and he was told he'd never be able to walk, and yet he did, and he played football, and the journey that he made from like 5 years old to where he is now is quite astonishing, even though he's not like a multimillionaire or amazing successful man. But from where he started, he's come a hell of a long way, and I think had a good life and done lots of good things, and brought me and my sister up reasonably well, at least I think, and so I think he I'm sure he's in his 80s now, and he can look back at a reasonably successful time. One thing I wanted to ask you about is this idea of, and I think it is a really powerful thing, of utilising stories as part of a marketing campaign in a way, whether that's on video or written word or whatever it is. What are your thoughts on that? And any tips or advice to business owners who are like the idea of it and not really sure how to do it or what to do?
Well, what we're doing, I mean, there was a line said by one of the directors of Facebook that said, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is a library.
Okay, I like that. That's fantastic. I'm going to write that down. Hang on. Okay, go on. Carry on. So
video production. I started looking at this 5 years ago and thought, what a great way of communicating a message in a format that we love, the visual format. I mean, if you want to know how to do something now, what do? You go to YouTube and you get a how-to video. This is kind of how it started for me. Because I was installing phone systems at different businesses, it was the training of the phone system that was quite heavy going.
Yeah.
So I made these videos with the A-Link and Polycom, two strong brands. And I really did it for just my customers. I was going to keep it private. But I let it go on the internet and you get hundreds of thousands of views.
Yeah.
Because suddenly the world goes, oh, thanks for that.
Yeah.
I can use my phone. And then I did the broadband troubleshooting videos to help people to solve broadband problems.
Okay.
Because, broadband is like the fifth emergency service.
Yeah.
The engineers coming out, because I think in a survey, there was a third of these people in the survey, they said they would prefer their heating to go off than their internet connection. So, interesting how our values change.
Yeah.
But video, by 2022, 80% of all internet traffic will be video.
80%? Wow, that is astonishing, isn't it? And yet I see, I don't know about you, but in my world, when I'm dealing with particularly the smaller business market, they see that there's, I don't want to be on video. I'm not really very good at that. And I'm not sure I am, but I've done over 400 videos and I've practiced and I've got better and better. If you looked at my early ones, you'd think, oh, that's terrible. Now, I do anyway. And yet the newer ones, I'm thinking, that's not too bad. I'm reasonable at it now. And it's just like any skill, isn't it? You just practice, get back on the horse, and if I wonder how many videos I've got where I've got halfway through and then sweared and cursed that I've got it wrong and deleted it and started again. I tend not to do too much of that these days.
I think it's a very unique tool for businesses. 54% of consumers want to see more video businesses. 73% claim that they've been influenced by a business's video or social media content, and video marketers will tell you they get 66% more leads because of video. So, and people who do invest in video say they have 93% of them will say that they've landed new customers because
of video. Yeah.
So it's certainly something very important for small businesses, and they don't have to be on the screen. But here's the thing: is that people relate to people.
Yes.
You said earlier, know you, like you, trust you.
Yes.
And that comes across in a video.
Yes.
You can, and that's where I came up with the idea of document your business in a film to connect with your customers.
Yeah.
Because I know, being in telecoms, whether it was 1 year or 10 years, people would say, "Well, who are you? We don't know your brand. We know who BT are. We know who."
Yeah.
But if I turn around and say, "Well, I've got an award-winning documentary about my business, and it's on Amazon Prime. Take a look."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that immediately adds a level of credibility beyond expectation.
Yeah.
But more importantly than that, it is building a relationship with your customers, the community, and your prospects a lot faster.
Yes. Yeah.
It's telling authentic stories and telling them well, which gives access to your products, your services. It builds your brand awareness, but it builds trust and transparency. And people are now more than ever choosing where they shop and what they buy because of the story behind the product and the values that it embodies. And we can use a very famous example of the guy who became the richest on the planet, Elon Musk. People want to work for him.
Yeah.
So it gets employees behind the business as well as the inviting.
It's really interesting, isn't it? We're in an age and a culture now which, 20 years ago wasn't really happening, and that is that there's like a leader of a business who's actually almost like a celebrity. He's like worldwide. There was the odd one. Richard Branson's been known, as a public figure for probably 20 odd years, hasn't he? But now there's like a whole range of them. Steve Jobs, and and probably name another 20 or 30 of them. And it's interesting how these people are becoming almost, if not even more, well known than the brands that they've created. And that's
correct. It's a wonderful point, because small businesses may tend to focus on their logo or their branding, but really it is the people. Yeah, it is the person behind it. People resonate with people. People know me, they don't necessarily know the brand. That comes afterwards.
Yes.
But they want to see the person behind it. We're in the business of people.
Yeah.
And that's something for small businesses to be more focused on, is themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the realness of them, because that's what people connect to in a world of fake media, fake news. Yeah. People know what's real and what's not.
Yes.
They know when someone's genuine, when someone's authentic.
Yeah.
And people connect and resonate with stories. The things that people resonate is the early mornings and the late nights.
Yeah.
Building a business, the challenges that you have to overcome, and the wonderful experiences that customers have had.
I think you're absolutely right. I think also, that when you're looking at, if you read a marketing leaflet or something like that, or a web page, often it's saying, buy this product, it's great, it'll do this, and and all wonderful, and they're doing a really good sales job on you. But life's not always like that, is it? And the journey, if I'm sure you'd be the same. But if you look at my career, 25 years doing this, I've definitely had ups and downs in my business, and I've made loads of marketing mistakes, that is for sure, and probably made more than most, actually, because I've done more marketing than most. And but what I have done is I think learnt from those mistakes, and so if I make a mistake these days, it'll be a small little incremental mistake that I can then adjust and test and try something new, rather than like a lot of people do, just throw a load of money at something that doesn't work and wake up 6 months later having lost a fortune in pay-per-click advertising that's not really produced any business for them. So I think in a video, for me anyway, it's good to be able to not just come across as like an expert in what I do, but more as a human, who will get things wrong sometimes, and
and that it's okay to fail. And
yeah.
I love that idea of failing forward.
Yeah. And also I think with videos, and I'd be interested in your thoughts on this, but I've done videos where I've got like 10 minutes in it, I'm really sorry, I've just got my throat, I've just got to have a cup of coffee. Hang on just a minute, and I'll drink right, okay, back with you now, and just carried on. And some people say, well, you can't do that. And I just think you can these days, I mean, obviously on my homepage of my website with my very professional video, I might not do that, but if I'm just, doing a video, like telling people a story about something that's happened and like linking it to some advice, then, if I need to scratch my nose, I'm going to. It's as simple as that.
I think it's doing what the ego doesn't want to hear. It's saying what the ego doesn't want to hear.
Yeah.
I made 2 documentaries to document my transformation, if you like, to show people that you can go from where you are to be who you truly visualize what you want to become.
Yeah.
And that was Living My Illusion and Magnificence of You.
And what was the other one?
The Magnificence of You.
Right. Okay. Great. Yeah. Nice names.
And what I was doing in both of these was saying what my ego didn't want to hear.
Right.
But of course, that's what people resonate with. People
Yes.
are not looking. I don't believe people are looking for leaders and gurus. I believe they are looking for people who give them permission to be themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. People who, well, also I think people who will, push them to, to try to get to that next level. I think, and I think it's, it's a really interesting point you make about, we all want advice, but we don't always follow through on that advice. I feel sometimes.
Yeah, I like taking advice, but the best advice and the best knowing certainly comes from inside of us, because you have all the data in the world to make a business decision. But if it doesn't resonate with you, it's really not going to work. I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm saying you need one business may survive, one business may fail if it's not aligned to their truth.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
If you can find and do what you love, then you win.
Yeah,
and it's not an easy process, but nothing really is.
No.
But when you do find it, then you embrace support and challenge in equal measure.
Yeah.
And you certainly, one of the joy, what is a joy to me is writing and creating documentaries and films, sitcoms, and even if it's just small videos, it's that creative process,
right? Yeah,
that keeps me going. Especially during these interesting times.
Yes, yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge, hasn't it? And I just hope we're now, starting the process of coming out of it, and hopefully, with the injections that everybody's having, and that's going to increase, we'll hopefully not go into it again. And but we'll just have to see. Let's hope if somebody's listening to this in a year's time, they'll go, "Oh yeah, right." He was wrong about that. Let's hope that's not the case.
It's an interesting time to be alive. But
It
at
is.
the same time, that's we're always supported and challenged,
Yes.
and that's what the next 10 years probably look like. Supported and challenged. But video is certainly becoming even more necessary and important. The networking aspect has been, where you would meet people, and that would be, how I would certainly love meeting people.
Yeah.
And,
your comment about 80% of the use of the internet is going to be video based. That is just phenomenal, isn't it? You look where we've come from. It's
82 they say.
82%
of the global internet traffic will come from video, and because it's become much more accessible. But it is those authentic stories, and that's why a documentary is such a powerful message and a powerful tool, because it not only gives you the documentary of 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever your business, depending on your business, but it also gives you a lot of content.
Yes.
That you can then split up into explainer videos, short presentations. So it gives you a 5 years worth of content for all your social media. Whereas a lot of people would spend money on doing an explainer video and then a corporate video. And it's great that they do that, because they're all wonderful ways of doing things. But now it's become, right, how is that really going to be used to, how are we going to use that to our maximum potential? And that's where this all comes in. And you're right, people do love it, and it is quite new. And people, because normal people would shy away at kind of costs. But if you just go to our website, our prices are there. We've invested heavily to be able to give this to
quality
businesses, small to medium businesses, at a very affordable price. They would probably not knowingly spend a lot more by trying this and that. They could do the whole thing within a documentary, and then have all of that content that we can
split and use in bits.
How many businesses have a trailer for their business?
But I'd say how many will have in the future, and that's probably going to increase, isn't it?
It is, and I think it's maybe like the websites. You know, people didn't have websites, and then they thought, "Oh, I better get a website." That's like the front. That's like the shop window. That became the shop window. Everybody had to get involved and be a part of that. And a video is the same way, but it's about coming up with creative means of intelligently communicating.
Yes.
You know, to customers, because the veil is thinning between businesses and customers, providing
days. Yeah, absolutely. So we're coming to the end of our sort of time. I always like to ask you towards the end to say, if there was one piece of advice that you'd give to a business owner, what would that be? Excuse me.
Well, you can make decisions out of fear of things not working out, fear of failure, or you can make decisions out of love, out of doing what you truly connect to, what's right by you.
Okay.
If you can fail at something that you don't enjoy, you may as well take a chance on doing something that you love.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you very much for that. So if people want to get in touch with you to talk about, you know, you're helping them with video and stories, or even producing that documentary, where should they go and what should they do?
We've got our website. That would be the best, most easy port of call.
Okay.
Vandercom.com.
Vandercom.com. Okay.
Yeah, Vandercom. You can tell how I got that name.
Yes, indeed.
From my surname. Clever, that.
Yes, yeah.
Joel Van der Molen. So Vandercom.com.
Okay.
And that will take you to all of our social media. We have a fabulous YouTube presence. And that's an important lesson for businesses is YouTube. It's the second biggest search engine.
Yes.
We're approaching 600,000 views and 500 subscribers. But the more you do that, the more you start building interest and people coming to you for finding you.
It like snowballs, doesn't it? You know, I had like 80 followers, 100 followers, and I wasn't really making any. Then all of a sudden I got to like 600, 700, 800, and it just, poof, you know, just started to really go, you know. And, the other day, one of my videos hit 22,000 views. You know, and I'm thinking, wow, a few years ago when I started doing video, I don't know, it must be 5, maybe even more years ago now. The thought of that would have just been, that's like ridiculous, having so many. Now, not all of them have done that, but, I'm working towards that. So, it's
more
really
value
good.
You give, so then people will, look to you and look to your services, look to your products a lot more. And we all have that opportunity. It's about being true to ourselves, being creative, and allowing that to, being telling authentic stories. That is, I believe, is the key to those businesses that are going to be successful.
Yeah,
certainly over the next 5 to 10 years.
Brilliant, thank you. So we'll bring it to a close. Thank you ever so much, Joel. Really appreciate it. So don't forget, if you want to know more from Joel, get yourself to his website, find out about what he can do for you and how he can help you. If you want to know more from me, the same thing applies. It's steve-mills.com. Go to my website, have a look. There's loads of info on there. Sign up to my podcast if you've not already done that. Go and check both of us out on YouTube. And thank you ever so much for listening. And I look forward to speaking to you again on my next podcast. Thank you very much.